up for them in terms of their career aspiration. Then on the as part of the program, we also open up some aspect of the program to the general public. That's a Gear Up Analyst program. And this is why today's session you are on, because we believe that we cannot run the program with an unlimited number of participants because we have limited resources. But there are some aspects that we can open it up to the public, like this one, which we are very happy that you've made time to join. And then there's the Gear Up Scholars Program, which is focused on helping SHS students to gain access to scholarships and fundings that are available to pursue university or tertiary education. We believe that this will help the most people who have like economic barriers that is preventing them from pursuing furthering their education to the tertiary level. We can help them to take out those economic barriers and pursue their aspirations in life. So that is what Gear Up does. There are several other programs that we are looking to launch, but just so that you don't miss out on anything Gear Up, follow us on our pages on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are on all these pages. Follow us at Gear Up Africa. It will be shared on the page just so that you can hear about events like this and even more programs that will come up in the future. Thank you very much, Judith. Over to you.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for that detailed brief about Gear Up Africa. The analyst on the page, if you could kindly help me in resharing and also sending the organizational details here as we progress with the call, that would be very helpful. Thank you. So we'll go straight into introducing our speakers for today. So our speakers for today, they are currently working in different fields altogether. They've gone through what we are going to talk about today. So today's topic is insight into graduate career opportunities. These are people who have gone through the different graduate schemes in Ghana currently, and they are going to share with us how they prepared themselves to where they are at now. So our first speaker or our first panelist is in the presence of Emmanuel Otabil. Emmanuel Otabil is a graduate trainee at Genser Energy. He is a recent graduate from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology with a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering. He's also currently advancing his career as an assistant construction supervisor in Genser Energy Ghana, specifically contributing to the development of Genser's natural gas exports terminal project. Previously, he also gained valuable experiences as operations engineer in the natural gas pipeline division at Genser Energy. He is also a proud alumni of SEO Africa and a member of the SEO Africa class of 2023, where he sharpened his skills and expanded his professional network. So welcome, Otabil. I'll introduce the rest of the guests and then I'll hand it over to you, or to give us further introduction of yourselves. So welcome. Our second guest is in the person of Beatrice Apia Kwache. So Beatrice is a senior associate at PwC Ghana in the Audit and Assurance Unit. She is also a past graduate from university, studied finance, Bachelor of Commerce Finance, and at University of Cape Coast, Ghana. And then our third guest is in the person of Lord Jan. So Lord is an experienced auditor at KPMG Ghana and also a qualified accountant from ACCA. Just to go back a bit, Beatrice is also an affiliate with ACCA. So I'll go back to Lord. Lord is a qualified accountant with ACCA. Lord is a graduate from University of Cape Coast. He's also a qualified accountant with ACCA and an experienced auditor at KPMG. In his spare time, he loves to read, he loves to listen to music and play video games. So can we react? Can we give, an to welcome our guest? Welcome. Thank you very much. Can we see our guests? So Lord Beatrice and Emmanuel Otabil. Can we see you? I can see on my screen. Okay, so I can see Lord here. I can see Otabil. Welcome. So nice to see you. Okay, we are all set for today. Okay, so I'll start with Emmanuel Otabil. Emmanuel, who is Emmanuel? And then we go on with that.
All right, thank you. Before I begin, I want to confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so Emmanuel Utabel is just who you described earlier. So I'm a recent graduate of KNUST, where I read a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering. Currently, I'm at Genser Energy, joining the graduate training program. Uh, the training is actually rotational. So I first joined as an operations engineer with the pipeline team, and currently I'm an assistant construction supervisor still in the graduate training program. I think this should be enough for who Emmanuel is for now. As we go on, we'll get to know a lot more about Emmanuel. Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely. Thank you. Lord?
Okay, thank you very much. So, just like you mentioned, my name is Lord. I'm currently an associate with KPMG, and I graduated from UCC, and I'm really excited about helping people, and I really share in the vision of Gear Up.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Lord. And then we go to the only lady in the room. Well, not in the room, amongst our guests. So, Beatrice.
Hi everyone, just as Judith mentioned, I'm Jisapia Kwachi, a senior associate with PwC Ghana. And in my spare time, I like to try out new things and learn new skills so as to build my personality and to help me achieve my ultimate career goal. So yes, that's a little bit I want to add to all that Judith said.
Thank you very much. And you all are welcome once again. Obed, can you please also help me with sharing the question bank link in the on the page so that when as we proceed, when people have questions, please Obed will be sharing the link with you in the chat box. Go there and then put in any question that you get or you have as we progress. Okay, so I'll start with Beatrice. Beatrice, can you tell us how did you prepare for the graduate program?
Okay, so for me, I started when I was in my final year in school at UCC. So most of the time when we are about leaving school, the next big question that comes to the minds of graduates or students is what's next after school. So it was there I started looking for answers by means of trying to look out for opportunities that are available for me that I can find myself in. Funny enough, I had a couple of people around who were also just like me. We all wanted answers to what's next after school. So what we did was, okay, for me, what I did was to associate myself with people that were already ahead of me in life and also were in the same directions I wanted to go to. I know you can attest to the fact that at a point in time, I was reaching out to you and to other seniors in school just to help me, guide me, know what I want. But you didn't just make the decision for me. You left it to me to decide on what to do, but then you were there to guide, coach, and then mentor me as to the right choices to make. So it was out of that I heard of PwC and then what they do. Then I took the step further to research about what the company does to see if it aligns with my ultimate goal before I even made the move to apply when there was an opening. And yeah, I got to hear of some of these openings through few friends of mine who were in the accounting field. I didn't really do much of accounting. However, when the opportunity came, I had to sit down to think, to look at what PwC does and to see if going there would be a best fit for me and where I want to see myself in the next future. And so after a thorough decision and deliberation, I made the decision that, okay, let me just give it a try. And it wasn't just PwC I was looking at. I was looking at PwC together with other firms that were in my line of studies. However, PwC happened and then I had to take the opportunity when it came. So yes, that was the little bit I did. So aside seeing people or moving up to people that were already a step ahead of me in life in that same direction to just to guide and mentor me, I took it upon myself to also research about the company to see if whatever they offer or whatever they do is in line with what I aspire to be or where I aspire to go. And then after I had done all those researches and that, I went back again to then start the preparation for the journey ahead, because there are a lot of activities that goes into just finding yourself in a particular institution you desire to be. It's not just dreaming of it, but then making the move also counts. So yes, I had to take the step-by-step process to get myself prepared towards the getting to the place. So yes, that's it from my side.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, when we were speaking, I get a lot of comments around intentionality. You knew at the point when you were about to leave school that, okay, this is what I want to go in next. And then you started, having those conversations with the people that guided you or whatever it was. But thank you for that. I'll move to Lord. Lord, I know, yeah, definitely it's been some years after you graduated. So I'm going to ask you this question. I think for some people, I'm not sure if there are even level 100 on this call, but for some people, if you could help explain, what is this graduate program? What does it mean? Is someone, I believe, I want us to decode that. And, for people to understand what it means when we talk about graduate career schemes, what does it mean?
Okay, so from my experience and the knowledge that is currently out there about graduate programs, when you talk about a graduate program, it simply means opportunities which are couched to suit students who are fresh from school. So, for instance, with every firm or with every institution, there are levels of work that are supposed to be done, and it's not there need to be different sections of experiences that can perform some of the detailed responsibilities or duties which are within some of those job roles. So with graduate recruitment opportunities, they are mostly like basic entry level jobs which are given to fresh graduates who have come out of school. And I also want to talk a bit about salary too, because if people are really conversant with the advertisement of graduate opportunities which are out there, we can see that sometimes they come with salary ranges and then age limits. Some of these salaries which are determined are actually projections or forecasts which are made by these firms in anticipation of the lifestyle of these graduates who come out, because it is widely known that a fresh graduate is not married. A fresh graduate does not have a child. A fresh graduate does not rent. A fresh graduate does not have a car. So certain lifestyles, the living cost of a graduate is not the same as the living cost of a senior or let's say a manager. So some of the salaries which are also defined for graduates are actually forecasts made by these recruiters to suit the lifestyle of fresh graduates who are coming out from school. So to put my words in short, I would say that graduate recruitment opportunities are for students who have freshly graduated, and the roles assigned to them are not that tedious as people with previous experiences, and the salary which is also determined for these people are forecasts made by recruiters to suit the lifestyle of graduates.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. I would want to ask the same question that I asked Beatrice. How did you prepare yourself? I would want to put it in the two-way though for you. How did you hear about it? And then also how did you prepare yourself towards it?
Okay, so with me, I want to talk about my entry into KPMG because that's where I had a graduate opportunity. To people listening, I applied to KPMG 3 times before I had the chance to join the firm. And with me, when we were in school, I had a study group, and my study group was full of boys. So we were 10 boys who were in one study group, and we were so passionate about audit, even to the extent that the title of our research work was about audit quality. So right from school, we were really interested about audit firms, and we came to know about Big Four. And the fortunate thing for us was that two of our friends had the opportunity to intern with a Big Four, that was PwC and EY. So once they came back from the internship, they educated us about the opportunities there, the prospects, and all that. So I remember with my first application, one thing we did was after we applied with our resume and then our CV, sorry, our cover letter, when we're invited for the test, 10 boys of us, my study group from level 100, we organized the Zoom call, and then we took some of the situational judgment tests in order to share knowledge and then tricks with each other. But on the first round, I think only one person out of the 10 had the opportunity to join Deloitte. And we tried again in the second year, which was in 2021. Sorry, 2020. And the second year too, we had only one person joining PwC. So now we had two friends from our group of 10 being in the big four. And these two friends of ours were constantly sharing opportunities with us. But with me, I applied to literally all the big four firms. I went there physically, and sometimes I reached out to some of the managers and senior managers on LinkedIn. And God being so good, in 2022, I had the opportunity to also apply. But this time around, when I was applying, I already had three friends, sorry, two friends from my study group and one friend from UCC already in a big four. And these guys, they coached me with how to answer the questions. That's the first and second test, and how to approach the first manager interview and then the partner interview. So, in short, that was my approach to the graduate recruitment at KPMG.
Impressive and interesting as well too, because when you were explaining what the graduate program was, and then you mentioned the fresh graduates, I thought it's open to only only fresh graduates, and not after 2 years of graduation you actually are entitled to go into it.
Okay, so with the graduate opportunities, there are age limits, as I previously mentioned.
Okay.
So with me, I didn't meet the age limit on my third attempt. I still had more years in the bracket to still apply. So some people who did not meet the age limit, they didn't get a chance to join because, as expected, their lifestyle will not meet the salary that has been couched for them. So I think that was one thing that also covered me. I was not out of the age bracket that was set.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much for that. I'll move on to Emmanuel Otabel. Emmanuel, so I think Beatrice, both Beatrice and then Lord are from the Big Four. So PwC, KPMG. Yours is very unique and different. Genser Energy. How did you get into Genser Energy? How did you prepare yourself into that?
Okay, thank you very much. So, like you mentioned, Beatrice and then Lord are from the big four. I think I'm also from the big one. Okay, so with my preparation to Genser Energy, it all started with research. I had heard about Genser Energy through SU Africa, and then from my research on their website and their LinkedIn page and all that, I was looking out for certain things that they require from uh, potential applicants. And luckily for me, I had one of my direct seniors from school who also read electrical engineering in the Genser program. So he was kind of my coach. He was guiding me what I should do, what I should know, and all that. So it was basically his mentorship and then my research that helped me get here. I also got to to speak with some of the employees who are already in jail. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, so most of the employees also got in through the graduate training program. So I was able to speak with them to get to know some of the things that I should expect and all that. So yeah, it was basically speaking with those who have gone ahead of me and all that. And with the program, unlike is it KPMG that has an age limit, in this case, there isn't an age limit. You should just be a fresh graduate. Either you are in the final year or within 2 years of graduation. And I met that criteria, so I was able to apply.
Nice. So still on that question, let's just talk about a little bit about Genser Energy, the graduate program. What is it about? Like, what are the kind of people they are looking for? What are the kind of skill sets they are looking for? If you can tell us a little bit about the program itself.
Can you please come again?
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Can you hear me? Can you confirm?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we just want to go further into what the Genser Energy graduate program is about. So if you can throw more light on, the criteria, the eligibility criteria, and how to get in there, and what the program itself is about.
Okay, so Genser Energy is an engineering firm, but then with the graduate training, it's not open to just engineering students. There are various divisions and departments, people from finance, supply chain, engineering, even legal. So you can apply, and with what the company expects from applicants. So because it's a graduate training program, mostly they don't really expect you to have working experience and all that. During the application process, they require that you have some skills which you don't really need to get from previous work experiences. If you have those, yes, that's a plus. But then they need you to have certain skills like, let's say, ability to work in a fast-paced environment, to adapt easily, learn quickly, especially because the training is a rotational program. So for a period of 18 months, you undergo 6 months training for each rotation. And for the rotation, yes, you get to be in whichever field you are in, whether engineering, your actual field from school. But then while you rotate, there are chances that you would also be in a field where you virtually have no idea of. For instance, currently I'm a construction supervisor here, which is more of civil engineering and all that, but I don't have a background in that. So you need to have the ability to learn some of these things and all that. Yeah, so you need to have some of these skills, and then you should be able to think well on your feet. So basically, to get in, you need mostly soft skills compared to technical skills. If you have the technical skills, like let's say how to use Excel, some experience from internships and all that, yes, it's a plus, but then it's not a major requirement.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I'll go to Beatrice. So, Beatrice, I think someone has a question for you. I'll take that and then I come to what I have got here. Someone says, you mentioned that you did not do much of accounting. Do you see yourself moving back to finance field?
So accounting is very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. But then what I'm doing currently is more geared towards accounting, but has a bit of finance. So there's a bit of balance between the two. So yes, in the long run, yes, I might probably move to a more full finance field, but it's not now. For now, I just want to maximize the opportunity here in audit, learn and explore. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. So a similar question to what I asked Otabel. How do you get into the graduate program with PwC? What is the application process like?
Okay, so for PwC, I think it's annual. So every year there's they publish advertisements for graduate recruitment, and then I think usually there's a bit of time for you to apply. Usually it's at, I think, 2 or 3 months space. So you would see the advertisements all over from so they make use of their social media platforms a lot. So their LinkedIn would be advertising, and then most of the employees there to also advertise through their social media platforms. And so if you are interested, you just and I think the graduate recruitment program is mainly for just two lines of services, the tax and then the assurance. So the other lines of services do not really have a graduate recruitment program. But for assurance and tax, every year they publish their openings for new graduates who are in their penultimate year of study or who just completed their national service or are currently doing their national service to apply. So once you see those advertisements, you go through, complete the application forms, and then you submit. So after you submit, I think the next step would be for you to have an aptitude test. Yes. So at that particular stage, for me, what I did was I had to reach out to a few people I knew had also applied to PwC first or have had an internship with PWs and knows how some of these things work. And then they helped me with some of they had these questions bank that they used. But I think currently it's no longer being used again. They've changed the mode of questions and things. However, when you receive the mail for the internship, I think they use SHL. So you are able to go into the sites to practice a few of the questions just to familiarize yourself with how the questions are. And then asking individuals who just or who just completed the whole interview process or the whole graduate recruitment process is very helpful, because if you should ask me now, how I went through mine has slightly changed. So I won't be able to give you so much information as to what the aptitude test entails. But then asking someone who just completed like a year or two would be very, very helpful, because the person will be able to give you more insights about the program. And yes, of course, the sites can also be of great help. You can go there, practice a few tests before you take the actual practice test. So yes, I just had to prepare for my test like it's a UCC exams. I took it with all seriousness. Yes, like my life depended on it. And then from there, I think the next stage would be the manager's interview. And funny enough, during my time, at the manager's interview, right after the interview, you take another test again. So yes, at the premises. So we went in person for the interview. So right after the interview, you take another test again, just so that they know that you answered the first questions yourself. Yes. So what I strongly advise is that we should just desist from all forms of cheating, because if you do the test with the help of others and then you get it that day, there won't be anyone there to help you. Just go there, prepare, and take it as a form of exams that is going to score you, or that is going to land you to your next phase of the process. And from there, we moved on to the manager's interview, where we had a few. So basically, the manager's interview, going in there again, I didn't really know anybody that had really gone through the full process. I was working with people that got to a certain stage. So at the manager's interview, what helped me was that I had a few friends that had already, I think they had their interview days before I had mine. So I just asked them the sort of questions they were asked, just to prepare myself in that direction and to be abreast with some of the things that I didn't know from what they were asked. And then from there, if you are able to ace the manager's interview and get called to the partner's interview too, you can also rely on others. Obviously, it's not going to be one day for all the partners interview or all the interview sessions. They are running badges. So you should try as much as possible to make new friends. When you get there, anybody you meet that particular day, in as much as they are contesting for the same role, there's more room for all of you. See it as such. You are competitors though, but then try to make the most out of the moments. The people you meet around there, try to make friends with one or two, because you really know what and when you might need their help. So the few friends you make there can give you a bit of clue as to what they were asked. Then you also prepare yourself in that same light, and then you go, and then you enter the room with all the confidence you have, and then be yourself that very day, just so as they see who you actually are. So that was how I prepared for some of these process, like the stages throughout. But then I took everything one step at a time. I didn't rush through the interview phase when I was now applying. So as and when what the process demands, that's what I learned for. So if I'm at the aptitude stage, if I'm at the aptitude test stage, I try my possible best to focus so much on that and not think of what the other step holds. In as much as I have the ultimate goal of landing myself a role in the partner's interview, I didn't rush through the process. It was one step at a time. Learn what is demanded now, ace it, and then move on to the next stage. When it gets to that stage, I'll find ways and means to also learn, prepare well before I move ahead. So that was it for me.
Interesting, and thank you for that. So that meant that you aced the written part of it, which is when you submitted, I don't know if you did cover letter and then CV, but I believe you submitted your CV.
Yes, it was CV.
Yeah. I want to know, because definitely for you to move from the CV, which I believe is the first application process, right, to get into the aptitude test, what do you think and you have I know accounting and finance are more like twins. However, there are disparities. And so how, considering your background, what do you think were some of the skills that made you stand out for you to be called to the next stage in your CV?
Okay, so before I even get to answer your question, most of the times when you are applying for an opening or any advertisement you see, try to go through the rules and then the descriptions. So you see, you go through the job description, what is required or what is expected of you as an applicant, and then try and see if you have those skills that you can align to what the organization has, because that's what they are looking out for. So as a graduate trainee, I went through the job descriptions to check what they were looking out for. And then I realized that, okay, I had some of them, but I just didn't leave it there. I made sure that my CV was coined in such a way that whatever skills they were looking out for, being it someone who is able to multitask, someone who is able to work under pressure, who is able and willing to learn, and someone who is able to exhibit analytical skills. I had to make sure that everything I had on my CV, although my CV wasn't too lengthy, but then the skills captured all these things that was required or expected from the role description I saw. So that it won't be like I have all the skills, but however, I didn't really present them as how they are looking out for. And then probably I might miss the opportunity. I make sure I align to what is expected from their advertisement or their description that they have.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beatrice. I'll move on to Lord, then I'll come back to you again. But Lord, so you with KPMG as well too. Can you also tell us how the application process is like?
Okay, so with KPMG, the applications are done once every year. I think in 2022, the applications were two times, and that was as a result of mass attrition. So if anyone is expecting to see double recruitment in a year, probably you may be disappointed because currently the applications have gone back to their normal annual recruitments for graduate entry. So with the graduate entry, the forms are mostly released in April and May thereabouts. Sometimes if it delays, you also see it online. But with the first stage, that is you apply, you mostly apply at the first stage with your CV and then your cover letter. And after it has been scrutinized in the description of the requirements, KPMG looks out for people with degrees. So if you have an HND, it's not going to be, helpful to qualify you to the second round. And then even with a degree, the honors which are expected are a first class honor and then a second class upper. So after you apply for that and your CV is reviewed, you will be invited to take the first test. Mostly with the test, it is stated in your email the nature of the questions that are going to be asked. Sometimes you'll be asked questions on situational judgment test, where the recruiters will test your behavioral skill, your analytical skill, and how your personality is in line with the firm's values. And when you ace the first test, you are invited to take the second test, mostly the seasoning and quantitative reasoning. Hello,
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you, Lord.
Okay.
Okay, so it's throttling a bit now. Um, okay. Lord, you can unmute and go ahead now. Since you are muted now. Oh, I think Emmanuel, you may have to unmute.
Okay, all right. Okay, so sorry for that. Once you pass the first test, which is mostly situational judgment test, you'll be invited to take the second test. And then The second test is mostly on logical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and then quantitative reasoning. With these questions also, it will be stated in your email. And I'm giving this information out because in the current recruitment that is ongoing, I had a few people reach out to me, so I was able to see the email that was sent to them. So it's based on that I'm giving out this information. Subsequently, it may be changed, but with the normal procedure, it's two tests that you are going to take. Once you pass the second test, you'll be invited to the manager interview. Mostly, the manager interview can be in person or it can be online, depending on which batch you are placed in. Once you pass the manager interview, you also be invited to the partner interview, which is also sometimes in person and sometimes online, depending on the partner and their location. With the functions and the units in the firm, there are three broad functions. There are actually four, but the professional functions are three. We have the audit function, we have the tax function, and we have the advisory function. Mostly, these three functions, the recruitments are done concurrently. It's only in exceptional cases where these three functions do their recruitment separately. But because we have a central team running the human resource department, that's our people and culture department, they run all the recruitment for these three functions concurrently. So if you are interested in, let's say, deals advisory, you are interested in management consulting, you are interested in operations and strategy, mostly those ones are under the advisory unit. They also have internal audit functions, governance and risk consulting. And then with audit is a standalone. And in audit, we also have lines of businesses, and then we equally have that of function. Sorry, the tax. Tax is also a standalone unit on its own. So that's the process in the graduate recruitment at KPMG.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lord, for that. Can you describe some of the challenging parts of the application process or the interview process that people should be aware of? You encounter.
Okay. Okay. I'll gladly do that. So, with the application process, I think with the exams, please don't score yourself. Like when you take the test, you may think you have passed, but you actually be surprised that what you are actually inputting may not be in line with the firm's values. I don't know if people here or we have people who have tempted the GRE or the GMAT. Sometimes the reasoning of the GMAT in the is actually based on tricks and not common sense. That's the same logic that applies to the test in KPMG. There are specific things that are actually expected from you. That is the firm's values. So I think with my first application, I wasn't invited to the test. My first and second, I wasn't invited to any of the tests. But what I realized on my third attempt was that per my inquiry with people who were working in KPMG, it looked like the values of the firm were so much important to them to the extent that you could see them in the test you were writing. So in KPMG, the firms of KPMG are integrity, together for better, and we have excellence, and we have courage. These are the five values of KPMG. So before you take the test, I would encourage that please research about the firm's, values. Do not take the meaning of the words as the construction of the values. Let me take this again. Please do not take the English meaning of the words as the constructions of the values. Most of these values are actually couched to suit the work life of that particular firm. So, with integrity, someone may say integrity means being ethical. But at KPMG, when we talk about integrity, we are saying doing what is right. And then you read the meanings of the values as according to the firm's proposition, so that when you are taking the test, you'll be able to identify the qualities that you are supposed to respond to or assent to in the responses that will be in the options to the questions. And with the interview, one thing I want to share is that mostly with graduate recruitment, the KPMG interview, based on my experience, are not technical. They are mostly based on scenarios and the firm's values. So during the interview, you will be asked to, give a situation where you exhibited certain, characteristics of a leader, certain traits of someone who has integrity, someone who is excellent, someone who knows how to work in a team, and someone who knows how to work, under pressure. I think for me, one question which was outside the box, but I think really also really mattered to the application was that my final question from the partner. So I applied to tax and then I subsequently changed to audit. So my final question from the partner, he asked me that, with tax, many people, like the citizens, think that taxes are not important because the government is spending the money. And then the government also feels that that is their primary source of revenue. So as someone coming in as a tax associate, how can I create a middle ground between these two misconceptions in an economy? And like this was something I had not thought of. It was something that was outside my reach, but I had to just create something and create a middle ground between the two and make the partner understand that taxes are actually needed to run the country, but it is because of misinformation, it's because of, let's say, misappropriation, that is what makes the citizens not see the value of those taxes that are being paid. And sometimes when these taxes are collected, they are used to implement infrastructure in main cities of the country, whereas people in the hinterlands do not see the benefits of their taxes. But because the government is not communicating what they have done in the main cities with the taxes, the people in the hinterlands do not see the essence of paying those taxes. And I realized from the partner's nod, my response was making some sense. So, in as much as you prepare for value-based questions, for situational based, for scenario-based questions, and then for the international standard of ethics, the ethical codes of accounting, those kind of questions. Also expect things that are actually general knowledge and be able to, speak to convince the partner or the manager to bring you on board.
Interesting. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So important that you are open, you have an open mind exploring other topics, aside just the core that he has mentioned. Thank you, Lord. I'll move to Otabel. Otabel, so I know in your previous submission, you made mention of the importance of soft skills in the application. But beyond the soft skills, what do you think for someone that is probably looking into? Because I know of someone, actually, when you mentioned that, you can be from a different discipline and then still get into Genser, even though it is an energy company or an engineering company, you can go into it. I know of someone that is actually a analyst, past analyst that was a finance or an accounting student, but then went to Genser. I know it is possible. So for anyone that wants to go into it, we have testaments, we have people. I know Otabel did engineering, so probably he is, the transition is direct, but we've got one of our past analysts that did accounting, but then went to Genser Energy, so it's possible. For someone that is looking to enter in Genser Energy from school, so the person is in school, what do you think are some of the unique experiences the person should be looking out for, how they should groom themselves towards that so that it can to transition into the program? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So before I answer the question, I think I didn't really mention exactly what goes into the entire Genser application process. So for Genser's application, it's not done directly by Genser Energy. SEO Africa does the recruitment for Genser, and then Genser takes it from there. Once you are applying, the first thing is so for my time, we wrote an essay and then submitted our CV, cover letter, and all that. But then for this year's application, the essay was taken off. They had to do a video submission to respond to certain questions. I think they wanted to see the authenticity that the people had to show. Because for an essay, I mean, AIs can just write them for us. So once you submit the main application, you'll be invited to take a test, an aptitude test, which comprises of so many aspects. So reasoning, language, and many other, even some corporate experiences. Like, let's say your manager has asked you to do this, you are supposed to do this for another manager. How would you, those kind of issues. Once you pass the test, you'll be invited to a first interview. And after the first interview, which is the general interview, you'll be invited to a second interview, which is a technical interview with personnel from Genser to test your technical expertise or understanding in whichever field you are applying to. That is, so from there, that's where you can actually know if you are getting in or not. For the skills that you should have, so with one of Genser's missions is actually to train and develop local expertise. So they are very, very particular about the training. So mainly, there isn't much technical requirements from you. For the technical aspect, it's expected that whichever field you are applying to, since you are coming fresh from school, yes, hardcore skills, it's fine. But if you don't have them, you should have the theoretical knowledge to be able to explain. So let's say you've not really worked with a turbine, but you should know that for a turbine, if you are to do this and that, this is what happens, this is what happens. So you may not necessarily have the skills directly from an internship or a previous experience, work experience, but then you should have the idea, you should have the knowledge. That is what is expected for the technical part. If you have it from a previous experience, fine, that's a plus. But then most people get into the program without having the technical skills, but then they can defend that with the knowledge they have. And mainly, you would need to have a lot of soft skills to be able to get in. The training will be done once you get here. And with the Genser training, once you get in, so you are given job titles, not called just graduate trainee. So whichever job title you hold, if let's say you are a graduate trainee as an operations engineer, you would be doing the same things that, let's say, an operations engineer with 10 years experience in the company would be doing. So you are not seen as, okay, this is just a graduate, so they would go mild on you and all that. For instance, in my previous rotation, I was doing certain tasks that myself, I had to ask, how is an NSS person doing this? So you should be ready to pick up the task. Like I said, have an open mind and then be ready to adapt. If, let's say, you are given a task and for some reason you are unable to execute it, you should know what to do. You should know that, okay, in this case, I should ask for help, or I should do more research, I should ask for clarifications and all that. So most of these skills, though they are not technical, those are the ones that would make you stand out. And they'll be looking out for all these things in your application. So one of Genser's values, which I like very much, is maintaining an obligation to disagree. So let's say to explain it, it's your responsibility to disagree with an opinion if you don't agree with it, whether it's from the CEO, a manager, or a colleague. And even during my interview, for instance, I saw that they were testing that. So I was asked the question, I gave a response, and then the interviewer said, that's not right. He gave me an answer, which isn't right, just to see if I would be able to disagree with what he's saying, or I have that ability to just pick a yes for a yes and a no for a no. So you should have some of these skills just to distinguish yourself in the application process.
Thank you for that. I know you've just mentioned quite a number of the skills, but if you could put your most important skills up there, what would those be?
Okay, so for the most important ones is your ability to adapt and then learn in a fast-paced environment, because the energy sector, for instance, is growing. Whichever area you are from, whether finance, legal, engineering, once you get into Genser Energy, it's growing very quickly. So you should be able to adapt and keep up with it. Yes, so that's what I would say is the most important.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Otabel. There's a question here for okay, so this is to I think it's Beatrice and Lord. One of you can take it. Also, as a reminder, I know some people just joined and may have joined at a point. So Obed have just posted the link for you to submit your questions. If at any point in time you have any question on the call, kindly go in, you click on the link and then you will see a Q&A where you can add your question. That's where we'll be taking the questions for. So this question says, so the person is saying, I'm a chartered accountant and a full member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, and I want to know how can I join either PwC or KPMG? I believe you have answered this question, but do you have any more pointers for this person? So I'll take it from Lord, and then if Beatrice has anything, Lord has also not mentioned.
The first thing I would say is apply. Because I mean, we need people like you. The capital markets need brilliant minds like you who are abreast with the laws and the standards to ensure that the interests of investors are actually protected. So the first thing is apply, and then do not be complacent. You know, mostly when people have membership in professional bodies, it's I'm not trying to denigrate anyone, but it sometimes makes you feel like I'm supposed to get it. But let's keep it in mind that the big four is actually a multinational, and the operations of the firm is actually based on inclusiveness, diversity, and equity. So the firms give opportunity to everyone, whether qualified or unqualified, to apply. But the onus lies on you, the applicant, to ensure that once you come in contact with the test, you are able to prove yourself. So I would just say apply and then prove yourself when you get the opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lord. Beatrice, have you got anything more to add?
No, so just as you mentioned, just apply when the opportunity comes and then prove yourself, because I know of instances where people are qualified but still don't get the opportunity to even make it to an interview because
Yeah.
of maybe one or two things they went wrong in the application process. So they're not just looking at people who are qualified. Of course, if you are qualified, it's a plus, but then there's more to just being qualified. If you are qualified and then you don't really have all that it takes to be there, qualification alone, I would say, is one of the certifications you have. What value did it add to you? Being qualified alone, it was just an exam you took just to get to the qualification. What other values did you add to yourself? Because they are more interested in the values that you have, the skills that you have. And I think I align with some of the skills Emmanuel mentioned. Yes. So if you're able to demonstrate those skills and then if not to the full capacity, your ability to even demonstrate that you are willing to learn is also enough to also get you somewhere in the process. So just being qualified alone isn't enough. You just have to make yourself worthy, or you have to make sure you meet the qualifications, the other things that are expected, not just having the professional qualifications.
Yes, thank you very much, Beatrice, for that addition. And I'll borrow from your own words to this person. And I know the person is taking this all in good faith. And so would definitely be doing the applications and all the advice that you have mentioned. But I think one thing that I have taken it personal from this today's call, at a point where Lord was saying that he applied first time, did not get it. He was resilient. We went the second time, it did not pan through. And then the third time, that was when, it panned out for him. So do not be discouraged. I'm not sure this person, how many times you have been applying for with, with all of the qualifications and you're still not getting through. Maybe the last one you're going to, get apply would be the turning point. So please do not be discouraged. Keep applying and keep implementing some of the things that they have mentioned. Beatrice earlier on was talking about meeting with people. Lord also said engaging with people who are already on the field, who into practice some of the things that we have mentioned already. And I know definitely you'll come back to us and say that you got into the job. Okay. Beatrice, I want to ask this question because I think it's kind of tied into what we just mentioned about this person just mentioned that he's a full member, he's a chartered accountant and a full member of ICAG. How important is the qualifications? Is that how I should put it? But the certifications, if I'm saying it right, but how important is this in the application process, especially for people that are now entering this zone? How important is it?
Okay, so I would say being qualified is a plus, but it's not all that it takes to be there. I, for instance, I entered PwC with just my degree qualification. I didn't have any professional qualification. But yes, there are avenues and opportunities available there to ensure that you go through the process, take the exams, and make sure you get the right qualification at the end of the program. Of course, you coming in as qualified is a plus to them because it's adding on to the brand and the reputation they already have. But that is not all that it takes to be there. So from my experience, one thing I would say if I had the opportunity to go back in time is for me to have written my professional exams before leaving school. Because combining work, because you're working just like someone who is qualified there and in your grade, combining work with studies isn't a pleasant experience. I believe most of us would want to avoid the stress coming from the work, and also looking at the fact that you have to make time for your books and studies. And the professional exams, it's not just like the ordinary end of same exams that you might just read once, get it, and then you write and you pass. They are it takes more than just reading once or doing your normal end of same last minute revision and studies to pass it. It takes more time. So if you are someone that, let's say, it takes a couple of time for you to grasp whatever you learn, combining your professional exams with work, and work, I mean, a work that is also demanding a bit, would be quite challenging for you. You would find one way you, and of course, you would obviously see that the work would weigh more than the professional exams, and in the end you struggle a bit with completing the exams, and it will get to a point where it becomes more of a requirement for you to be done or to be qualified at a certain stage in your career, or at a certain stage in your life, at the organization you find yourself in. So I think if you are able to get it done whilst in school, because in school you are doing purely academic stuff, so adding another academic exercise to it wouldn't be so much of a burden as compared to working and then studying. But yeah, if you don't have the professional qualification and you meet the other criteria, you not having a professional qualification shouldn't be something that would deter you from making the move to apply in the first instance. There are people that came from an entirely different background other than a business background and still found themselves in audit and assurance. So it takes more than just being professionally qualified to be there. So that's the little bit I would see. But then, yeah, if you have the opportunity to take it while in school, just make use of that opportunity and get it done before you get out there.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Beatrice. Lord, do you share the same submission as well? Or you've got something more to add?
Yes, yes, I do share in the light of Beatrice, because writing the exams and working is very tough. So if you are able to get it done in school, it's fine. And it is also not like one of the compulsory requirements. It is a plus. So we have people in engineering. We even have a partner who read science, chemistry, and is a partner in audit. So the getting qualified doesn't really assure you or guarantee you entry into any of the big four. It's just a plus. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would go to Otabel. Otabel, what kind of questions should one that is preparing themselves for this application in Genser be looking for? So if you can take any part of the application process and then walk us through some of the questions that the person should be looking out for. I think, Ima, if you can unmute. They asked to unmute.
All right. So basically, for anyone who has been in an interview, the common interview questions will definitely be asked. Tell me about yourself. Maybe why are you applying to this program? And so those questions are definitely going to come up. And then I would say that you need to prepare unique answers to them rather than just giving generic answers, because they want to know you as a person. Another thing too that, let me just add this, mostly when people are in interviews, that tension that comes up also disturbs a lot. So in as much as you are tensed, do your very best to calm down. I mean, sometimes you can just bring anything up just to cool yourself down. So for the questions, for the graduate training program, one question that will definitely be asked is your final year project. Since you are coming in fresh from school, they would require that you take them through your project, the various challenges you faced. And when you are walking them through this, it's best that you try to touch on every aspect, your contributions, if let's say the project was done in a group, the challenges you faced, how you resolved them, the outcome. They are not necessarily looking at the project directly, whether it's related to Genser or not, but then they want to see how you work on something to the optimum end. And during the interview, because it's SU Africa, I know one question they ask is, tell me something interesting about yourself. We are used to just tell me something about yourself, where you just go with your name, what you've done and all that. But then this one, it takes a little thing, something interesting about yourself. And I remember from my experience, it was so I remember talking, and mostly when these things come up, it doesn't necessarily need to be so serious. They want to know the real you. And that is actually how the interview starts, just to break the tension. So I remember talking about the fact that I have a lot of friends, and then most of my friends, for instance, are in relationships. I'm not in a relationship, but then I end up giving relationship advice and all that. And for about half of the start of the conversation was just about that. So it was able to ease the tension. So something unique about you would also help. Then your final year project, then based on the field you are applying to. So if you're applying to, let's say, mechanical engineering, you'll be asked a number of mechanical engineering questions. So you would have to research Genser's mechanical engineering division. You know, we work with turbines, pumps, compressors and all that. So you'd have to know a lot about these things so that you'll be able to answer the questions as and when they come. Also, if you're applying to, let's say, the electrical engineering division, they would require you to know certain things about power plants, turbines, how to do some wiring and all that. So these are some of the things that you'd be required to know. And for a question like, let's say, why are you applying to the graduate training program? It should also have a very unique answer. So for me, after school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yes, I read electrical engineering for 4 years in school, but then I wasn't so sure if that's what I wanted to do. Knowing that the program is rotational and then you get to taste a bit of different fields, I decided to apply. So that was my unique reason for applying. So you'd also need a unique reason for applying. So that question would also definitely come up. And these questions, like something interesting about you, the final year project, why you are applying, in addition to the technical questions, are some of the things that will set you apart. Yes.
I like the unique thing about you. It's indeed unique and interesting how you give relationship advice when you put in there. But yeah, it's so important that I've been going through interviews in my past years. I know definitely that you need to make your story your own. Because if your story is not your own, then it's more like, an AI writing it for you. What makes it like that thing about you? So I like the example that you use right now, that that, okay, you actually heard about the rotational program of Genser Energy, and then you make that yours, that, okay, you like an environment where you have you obviously have the opportunity to be rotated. So they actually know, because everyone, I think what most people don't realize is that when these companies are looking for you, they want to see how they can relate with you. People want to sit with people that they can relate with them beyond their technical skills, beyond the hard skills like the Excel and the turbines that he mentioned and all that. Are you someone that I can sit with and then be joking about other things, you know? So it's so important that you read their background, you read your research, but then try to understand it and see how you can personalize your experiences into some of these values and some of this information on the company's website. Thank you very much, Dr. Bill, for those explanations and examples given. Beatrice, I want to ask you this question. I think because you made mention when you were talking about how you prepared for the opportunity with PWs, and you said you had to do research aside speaking with people. Once they have spoken with you, you did research. What is the best strategy for someone that is looking to go into an opportunity like this? How should their research strategy be like?
Okay, so first off, I think the person should have in mind what they actually want to, what they're looking out for in their organization. Like I said, there are institutions out there that would always advertise for an opening or an opportunity. Would you just apply to any of them just because you feel like you just want to find yourself a job after school, or you actually want to go through one that aligns with your career aspirations or what you want to become or where you want to see yourself? So in as much as there's an offer or there's an opportunity out there, it's up to you to also assess yourself and then try to come up with what you actually want. Then from there, you take the step of, okay, fine, this is what I want. I want to find myself in a big four. I want to find myself in an investment bank. I want to find myself in a retail or commercial bank, whatever you want. There's some people they just want to make ends meet. So it's just the money they are after. Fine. Of course, in as much as you are going after your passion and your dream, there's a bit of money motivation factor in there. So you look out for all those things, and then I think you prioritize the one that you think you long sought after. Then you take time, spend some time, go through so avenues for you to get some of these informations will be from the company's official websites. So sometimes they will publish information about themselves. Try to, at least for a period of time, try to monitor them and be on the lookout for some of the newsletters they release from time to time. Just make sure you get so much addicted to what you are going after, so such that you try to be on the lookout, and whenever the job, certain information, certain newsletter, you are so much keen and interested to know what actually is happening around the people there or in that organization. You can also take you can also have attend some of the workshops they organize. I know for these big multinational institutions, anytime there's an opportunity for recruitment or some of these other things, they do organize workshops, seminars, or a Q&A session where interested applicants would have to join the call, and then they will try to help you understand what the process entails, and then also gives you an opportunity to ask questions. So you have to also be someone that would find yourself in some of or in such places or such events. Sometimes just once you think you are interested in this particular organization, sign up, create an account with them, and you see that you'll be there from time to time. They'll be sending you newsletters from time to time when there are openings. Because you've subscribed to it, they will just share with you, and then if you are interested in it, you go a step further to read more about the roles available. And then when there's an opportunity for them to have a workshop or a seminar, you join some of these sessions, because these are the avenues that you can also voice out or ask certain questions that you wouldn't get anybody around to ask. So yeah, I think these are the little things I did alongside speaking to other people I knew were working in places that could be of a bigger advantage to me, or had also gone through the same process, although they didn't get to the ultimate end, but then they had also given it a try. So some of these things worked for me as well.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Lord, I would want to also find out your research strategy, though I don't think, actually, let me not ask you about the research strategy. I would ask you about how your connections, the importance of having people who have tried the process or who know about the process, how the importance they play in the application process. So the way I would want you to talk about is to talk about it even beyond just your friends, to connecting with people on LinkedIn, a platform like LinkedIn, and how that can prove pivotal in the application process. Okay, I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, so aside my friends, literally those online I reached out to did not reply my messages. I applied to people on LinkedIn. I applied to people through other social media platforms like Instagram, and nobody responded. And when I went to KPMG, I saw some of them there. But I think one strategy I used was to copy and also to draw inspiration from LinkedIn. I know that there's a fast going around that when you go to LinkedIn, everybody's talking about, I'm happy to announce, I'm happy to share. Please don't be part of that group. There, I'm happy to announce these people talk about should actually inspire you, because when I wasn't getting people to respond to my messages on LinkedIn, I actually took my time to read the biography that most of the managers, the seniors, and the associates had written on their LinkedIn profiles. And I was able to actually see some similarities with them, and even their experiences and some of the trainings that they've had. Because for me, before I joined KPMG, I felt it deep in my heart that I had to leave where I was. So I tried like everything not to make sure that people's rejection would bring me down, because I wanted to get to KPMG. So I took inspiration from their profiles, and then I also shared my CV with people outside KPMG. So I had someone in Deloitte who was a senior. I shared my CV with him. He restructured it for me. And then KPMG also held some webinars, some of these free webinars that are held. I joined to familiarize myself with the nature of the people there, and also get myself acquainted with their faces, so that when I see any of these people who are on the panel, I would have some common ground to speak with them. And then one thing I also did was that is in relation to my interview. So mostly when you are invited to the interview, the managers who will be interviewing you, they will be in copy of the mail you receive. Now, you see the names of those managers in copy. What I did was those managers who were copied, I went to search them on LinkedIn just to see their background, to identify their interest, so that I can develop my responses. And I think that thing helped me in my partner interview, because the partner I had to interview me was someone who is thought provoking, who really liked, issues about decision making, because I chanced on two webinars he had organized, no, three actually, one international and two here in Ghana. And I watched all those videos, and I even took some of the strategies and the pointers he mentioned in those webinars, and I mentioned them in the interview so that he could see that I was following him. I remember he mentioned something about the glass jar, principle, about stones, about sun and water in managing time. And when he asked me a question about time management, I regurgitated what he said back to him. So with reaching out to people online, that didn't really help me, to be honest. No one on LinkedIn responded to my text when I reached out to them. That's those in KPMG. But people I knew on a personal level, those ones helped me. And then my research into the background of the managers in copy of my interview mails and the partner in copy of my interview mail.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just to also mention, and Lord has already said this, that although he did not, really take the online, or it didn't really pan out very well for him, he's still encouraging you that you can use that. So please use it and make good use of the relationship, the contact that you have built, even physically, the friends. That's so important, that you have very good friends that you can be doing some of these things with. Lord and Beatrice, someone is asking, is it too late to apply for PwC and KPMG graduate program? So the person is asking around this time, is it open now, or is it past application time? You go.
Okay. So with KPMG, the graduate recruitments are over. The recruitment process was released in May, but for now they are over. But I've been seeing that subsequently some associate roles are being advertised online. So you can still keep watching for some roles, but they may not be into mainstream professional lines, that is audit, tax, and advisory, but they may be into other central services lines. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Beatrice, can you answer for PwC as well?
And PwC to the application openings are over. I think they are the interview phase, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So, for one thing about PwC, because of COVID and then other factors, the graduate recruitment timing of the release of the applications isn't one that we can predict. Because I think this year it came quite early, it came somewhere last December or something. So just be on the lookout for it. But for now, it's over.
Okay, thank you. Someone is asking, how about experienced hires?
Experience highs is as and when needed. I remember last year and then 2 years ago, PwC had experience highs, but for this year, I can't tell yet if there will be. But then there are opportunities like that, and then they do advertise when there's a need for them to go in for experience highs. So yes.
Okay, so I'll ask the same question. I know the person asked for just PwC, KPMG, but I'll ask also the same question as well. Is it too late for someone to apply for this year, for someone to apply for the graduate program in Genser?
Yes, so it's late because those who applied have already started receiving their acceptance emails. So if you would want to apply, I think it's best you start early. Once you get into final year, or let's say once a new year begins, you just start looking, follow the company on their various social media platforms. For Genser, it's LinkedIn they use a lot. So you should follow the company so that you can actually get it. And if, let's say, you are in final year and did not get to apply this year, for Genser's application, you are allowed to apply once you are within 2 years of graduation. So for the 2025 application, those who graduated 2023 and those who will be graduating this year, including those who would graduate next year, can still apply. I think they would reopen the new one somewhere in March next year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I think I would want to ask, okay, so there's a question there. So someone said, please ask Lord, when when are they going to respond to applicants who went for the manager's interview, so we can prepare for either the partner's interview or make other plans? So basically the person is asking about the time and the waiting times between the interview processes. So Lord, you can go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not in the right position to give you any information on that because the recruitment process is iterative. So the people, progress, and culture team may decide to change their timelines this year, shorten it another time. So all I'll say is that if you are successful, you get an email. If you are not, you also receive an email. So with that, I really cannot tell because my time, the difference between the space between manager interview and partner interview was a month, but other people had 2 months, 3 months. So I really cannot tell the timeline for you to wait. So just look out for the emails.
Yeah. Would you also advise that the person could email them to find out?
Yes. The person can. The person can. You can email PPC if you have the email. I'm sure you have it because once you are invited for the test, you have the GHFM KPMG HR email. Send them an email just to inquire whether you've qualified for the partner stage or not, and they will gladly respond to you.
Good to know. Thank you. So there's a person that has come in saying that where your CV is reviewed by an applicant's tracking system, so ATS or manually by HR.
Should I go ahead
Yeah.
with that? Okay, so I applied in 2022. I can't tell, but I'm sure that there could be the introduction of ATS in in the application process. But if you are asking this question, then it means you are conversant with ATS. So when you are preparing your CV, kindly ensure that your titles, your headings, your wordings, your bulletins are are aligned in such a way that when your CV pass through ATS, it can clearly identify your work experiences, your educational background, and then some of the volunteering activities you have done. And I think that one can also help you when you apply the expert advices on how to prepare your CV.
Okay. Thank you very much. And this is a question someone is asking, but I think it will still be to you, Lord, because of the journey you have shared with us. Someone said, how did you handle rejections or setbacks during your job search?
Okay, I think this is emotional intelligence. And I think it also comes back to your mindset. You will definitely be hit with a rejection, not only from KPMG, because those 2 years I was waiting, I didn't wait for KPMG alone. I applied to a lot of firms, like a lot. I just don't want to mention the number, but you know where you want to get to. You know the impact you want to make in the world. I always tell myself that my ultimate goal is to ensure that decisions that are made at the world stage will have a positive effect on the lives of marginalized people. That is my career objective. That's not even on my CV, but that is in my heart. So if you reject me today, I'm still going to come again tomorrow because time will keep there's always going to be time once I'm alive. So if you reject me, I'm still going to move on. And then I'll also say that cry, cry if you have to cry. Do not try and be tough. Do not try and hide it. Do not hate anybody there too. I've heard people, say to me in my face that, some of you guys went to Big Four with protocol, but we don't know anybody. Me, I don't know anyone there. But it was just, by grace, hard work, and then a bit of, luck. So I would say that when the rejection come, take it as it is. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to speak to somebody, speak to someone. And then do not make the detail I shared with you that when I reached out to people on LinkedIn, they didn't respond, make you feel like, people in Big Four, when you reach out to them, they won't mind you. They will mind you. There are actually people who will respond. It's something I've taken personally on myself. And I have other colleagues in KPMG who have also taken that upon themselves. That anyone who reaches out to them on LinkedIn, looking at their prior experiences they've had with rejection, they will try their best to, respond to them. So I'll say that when you get rejected, if you want to cry, cry. If you have someone you want to reach out to, but don't let it end there. Keep trying, and a chance will open for you. And then learn from your mistakes. Yeah, learn from your mistakes also. My CV, I've changed my CV many, many, many times. I've sent it to many people for them to look at the chaff for them to help me do it well. So do not also feel big to reach out to people. Maybe your junior is in a big four. Please, you need the job. Don't feel big to reach out to them. And do not also feel small that, oh, okay, me, I'm applying for graduates. I won't let this person see. Please open up, and people are willing to help you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Lord, for that encouragement. There's a question that says, what can one simply share his CV to various firms' HR email addresses, even when there are no openings? Is it advisable and can it yield positive results? This one I'm going to, because I don't know how anyone has gone through this, so I'm going to unmute all of you, and then anyone can go. Any one of you can go. Go, you.
Okay, so I think I would want to touch a bit on that, and then Beatrice and Lord can also add up. So ideally, it's right to actually apply when there are openings, but then you may never know. Lord mentioned how online stalking, he likes to say he did research, but it's still stalking. So he mentioned how stalking was able to help him get some information for his application. So I think you can take advantage of that, but then it depends on how you do it. For some people who approach these HR managers directly, the tone you use and then your diction can actually make a difference. You can just send in the CV, probably a cover letter or an additional note just to show interest in any role or your particular role, and make it known that should there be any opening, you would want to be considered for it. But then I've also seen instances where someone would just send it that this is my CV, I want, like it's so blunt and straightforward. That approach doesn't really help. So if you want to go that way, it can help, but then the approach you take actually makes the difference. So you can, if let's say for some reason you are in need of an opportunity, it's not there, you don't really need to wait for it to come. You can chase it, yes, but then like I mentioned, the approach you take matters. So if Lord and Beatrice have something, I think they can also adapt.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabel. Lord, Beatrice, have you got any
So
additional?
I'll say that the roadmap to securing a job is not cast in stone. I have friends who sent their CVs to Deloitte, their HR manager directly, and they had a job. Two friends. So I mean, you can try it. If it doesn't work for you, when the applications also come, you can still try. I mean, you'll be looked at. Yeah.
Beatrice?
Yeah, so I would also add that yes, there's no harm in trying. You can just send in the emails, and then I also side with Abel for mentioning the fact that the tone and how you address whoever you are sending it to, and I also add on to it that I think because it's unsolicited, the right channel is also important, and the medium through which you are sending the application is also important. So, yeah, I've heard a couple of people mentioning the fact that they just walk into the office premises just to submit. I think is it that with that is just an internship opportunity just to submit. But then ask yourself, whoever you're submitting it to, is that person the right person to receive those applications? If you're using a virtual means, are you sending it to the right email address such that whenever there's an opportunity, because I know they keep track of some of these applicants. I've heard people saying that months after they had applied and they didn't get, they were there, and then one day they just received a call from the HR asking if they're still available for that role or there's an opportunity or an opening. So the means that you are using should be the right one, so that such that when there's an opportunity in future, you'll be considered. Yes, that's a little I'll add.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely agree with you or on all those submissions. Most importantly, it is like they've all mentioned, it is an approach you can take, but make sure that that approach you are taking is worth your time, really, because what you don't want to is just be sending generic. Imagine if you're gonna send to, let's say, PwC, for looking at, address it to PwC. And it should be that you have done some research to know some things that aligns with your interest, and that is why you want to go there. So please don't just send general expecting feedback from them. Make it tailor it to what you want from them, even though you've seen no job openings. Thank you for that. I think this question has been answered. So it says, okay, I applied to PwC graduate program this year and I made it through the managers and partners interview. Okay, so quite different, a little bit tweaked to the first one. Yet to hear on the outcome, any advice as a prospective employee to the firm? So PwC is Beatrice. Yeah, Beatrice, if you can just like to cover that.
Okay, I don't think I'm in the right position to answer this question. All I would say is that just have faith. Pray to whatever deity you believe in, and then be hopeful that whatever you demonstrated at the interview would yield positive results. Just be optimistic that the results will come out. Because as it stands now, I don't even know if they have started giving people an offer or something. I just don't know what is happening. So just be optimistic that it will turn out right.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope your question has been answered, Gigi. Okay. So, last question for me. Have you got any questions? Let me just check the question bank if you've got any new question. But we would also want to give, at this point, I would want to actually give a live question, one person that would want to ask a live question. So you can unmute and then actually indicate by the hand icon. And then let me know if you want to ask any question, want to ask any of our guests question. Do we have anyone that has a question for them? Before I go to the last submissions from... Okay, silence is golden. I believe no one has. So starting from Beatrice, what would be your one advice that you would give to anyone that is looking for this opportunity? So the person from people that are currently in school. Okay, so no, let's go to Samuel. Samuel Somoa. I'll ask you to unmute now and then you can go ahead.
Okay, so my question is two in one. First off, I'm asking of how do you build yourself for these graduate opportunities? Because currently I'm in second year, looking at an internship now. Before when I graduate, I look for graduate opportunities. So how do I build myself considering internship opportunities, certifications, the necessary skills, just all in one, a roadmap to the graduate opportunities?
Okay, just going to close it. Okay, let's start with Otabel.
Okay, so someone was asking of how to build, let me say, a portfolio that can earn him a graduate training program. So I'm not exactly sure which program he is offering at the moment or which category he is targeting, but then let me speak for my side. So for someone who is in second year now, you can start making use of internships just to scale up. And then as you are in second year, meaning you have about 2 years to be eligible for a graduate training program. So you can start looking into the ones available. For my area, for instance, there are companies like Nestle, Genser, Toyota, Huawei, Technip, FMC, Amalitech, even Casapreco, Automation Ghana, Total Energies. There are many of them. So you can start looking into these opportunities and then look for what they expect of you. Because some of them have some strict requirements. For instance, some can say just first class and second class upper students only. Some also make it open-ended. Some are looking for students from just universities and not polytechnics. So you can start looking for some of these things. And then also once you have the opportunities available, you can start building yourself through the internship and also gaining some skills, both technical and then soft skills. For the technical skills, a few of them are computing skills like Excel, I mean the generic ones, Excel and others. And you can also start from your research, you can know if, let's say, a particular organization uses some softwares which you can actually start learning as early as possible. For the soft skills, in order to be able to earn them, I would advise that for someone who is in second year, you should start getting yourself out there. There are so many student opportunities, student associations and groups. You can attend programs. Just put yourself out there. You can take a leadership, because in an interview, they can ask of a time where, let's say, you were leading a group of people to undertake a project or something. So if, let's say, you are involved in a student club or an association, you can get some of these experiences. Through, let's say, a student association, you can also build on your communication skills and all that. So just put yourself out there and then be strategic about it. If you know exactly what you want, it's even easier because you can easily build a profile for that. I think that's what I have to add.
Thank you very, very much for that. Beatrice, I would want to take you to your submission also on the part of accounting.
Okay, so the question was how to prepare yourself for the opportunity. So like I always say, you just have to figure it out. What do you want? What do you want? Where do you want to see yourself in? That should be the very first question that should come in mind. Then from there, you think of avenues available to get you to, because if you know where you are going, you would have to then find the routes that will lead you to the same destination. So yes, in as much as you know, okay, so if you try to figure out where you want to go to, the next thing I think you should also do is to spend some time to just research about the organization you want to find yourself in or the industry you want to see yourself in. What are some of the things that is expected of you as an individual for you to be fully prepared for the whole process? And then to add on to all that Emmanuel has said, I would say try as much as possible to scout for valuable organizations. Valuable, I quote, because there are some organizations you join and then they wouldn't add any value to you as a human being. But then me personally, working as an individual didn't help. Yes, so I started off as trying to figure it all by myself. So I had to resort to meeting people. And sometimes I sit down and I say, oh, when I was in school, if I had the opportunity to have met some of these organizations, or if I was privy to some of these organizations like JRAP, SU Africa, YAW, or YAO, I would have probably made it way better than I am doing now, because these are avenues that would guide you, mentor you, prepare you for the whole process. In as much as you would be involved in so many activities or so many programs, or you'll be involved in a lot of events just to make you ready for your final year or after school, it's a bit it requires so much of your time, yes. But then I believe if you also really want to get the most out of it, try to look for such opportunities. Day in, day out, they do advertise for openings to accommodate more graduates or more students, yes, into some of these programs. So just be on the lookout for some of these advertisements and make good use of them, because they do advertise a lot of opportunities. They also teach and then prepare you for some of these opportunities. So yes, that's a little I have to add to what Otabel said.
Thank you so much. Because of our time, we just go to the finals. So the finals will be advice. I'll start from Beatrice here because you just spoke. What will be your last word for anyone that is looking to preparing themselves for some of these opportunities?
Okay, so my last word would be have a plan and then stick to the plan.
Have a plan and stick to the plan. Thank you very much, Beatrice. I'll go to Lord.
Okay, so I'll say that please ace your grades, and then build good networks and take advantage of programs like Blank System Esteem, like Gear Up, like Enaptus, and then Do not join too many groups on campus. Join important ones which will impact your career.
Thank you. And then to Otabel finally.
Okay, so my advice would be to stay open-minded. The path to bagging a graduate training program is not straight. There are so many ups and downs. So just stay open-minded and then keep working at it, and eventually it would work out.
Absolutely. Eventually, it will work out with resilience, with open-mindedness, with acing your grade, and then also having a plan, have a strategy on what you want in life. If there's anything I've taken from today's meeting is intentionality amongst all three of them. Nothing. I think this is not a fallacy or it's not a cliche when they say that jobs are not waiting for you now. You need to fish out for them. You need to go out for them. You can see in all of their journeys that they took the steps by themselves. They actually went worked for where they are now. So kindly let this not be just you just hearing and not putting it into practice. Make sure that when you move out of today's meeting, you are going to put some of the things. I know a lot of you are already in school, some have graduated, and some are in their final years. Everyone here really, one of the all of us here actually fit into the categories that they have mentioned today. So make sure that you are taking in all the lessons that they have shared. They have shared their beautiful stories with you. They've shared their times that they felt like giving up, but they still did not. With resilience and commitment, they pushed through, and how they navigated all to becoming who they are now. The road may not be smooth, but it is worth journey on. So thank you very much for this. We just take some last notes and then we would just go with me.